Hello folks, and welcome to my first Legends Untold playthrough. It's taken me a while to learn this one. I don't think it's just me. It is tricky. But I think it is worth it. It's an interesting game, an interesting proposition. It plays much closer to an RPG than it does to a tabletop game, and I've seen people online saying that this is the closest that they've ever come to experiencing an RPG in a tabletop game, and that is possibly why I found it so difficult to play. I'm not used to RPGs, I'm more used to tabletop games, and I think there's a sort of a rhythm to this game, a pattern to the different phases that is more like an RPG. But I'm going to give it a go because I've really had a big push at learning this over the last couple of weeks, and I think that if I don't do it now, if I don't record a video now, it'll probably never happen. So, Legends Untold. This is the Weeping Caves novice set. There are two novice sets, the Weeping Caves and the Great Sewers. And each of these boxes contains a sequence of scenarios in this here book, a cinematic campaign with a story, and you play through different scenarios and you can level up your characters and meet different people along the way, different episodes. See, we've got 8, is that 8 different episodes? Yeah. And I haven't been anywhere near that yet. And we're not going to do that today. What we're going to do today is a scenario called the Missing Adventurers. And this is the only scenario I have played so far. I haven't defeated this scenario. I came pretty close to defeating it, but failed at the last hurdle, or rather suffered such a setback that I thought, I can't finish this game, but I'm going to have another go. So let's have a look on here. We have a guide to how to set the scenario up. We've got a couple of rules of the scenario, which, to be honest, I'm pretty sure I've forgotten in the past. And then we've got a goal. So the scenario is called Missing Adventurers. Several adventurers have gone missing while exploring the Weeping Caves. Recover the treasure map they took with them and try to find any information they might have left behind. So our goal is to find 2 items in this deck over here. They're in the bottom half of the deck. The items are the tattered map and the warning note. If we find those items, we are successful. Okay. Alright, so I've got to remember, if I come across any bat related cards, or if I come across the healing grotto, that there's stuff on here about those cards, but I'm going to put that over there for now because this game is big enough that I can't really fit everything on camera at present. So what have we got here? Let's have a look. We have got the adventure deck, and that's the deck of cards that will cycle through as we are exploring and doing different bits and pieces in the caves. We have got the event deck, and this is the way that the game tracks the passing of time, and different things will happen at different set intervals during the game. Over here we've got the readiness chart. This basically your party can be alert, they can be bold, or they can be careless, and that will have a positive or negative effect on different things that happen. Over here we have got a couple of other decks. We have got the barriers deck, so that's different barriers you might come across, and we've got the obstacles deck, different obstacles that might block the path of our adventurers. Our adventurers are down here. We have got the Evicted Noble, and we've got the Student. The Evicted Noble is our scout, they are going up ahead. The Student is our guard, she is guarding the rear. The Noble has a seax, I guess that's pronounced, sort of a big fancy knife. And the Student's got a rough spear, which is described here as the most basic of sticks. So that fills me with all kinds of confidence. Both of them have a weapon skill card. I can't even remember technically what you call those. Some kind of weapon skill card, and then they've each got 2 ability cards. Maybe I should work out what we actually call these things. Yeah, so all these cards are called talent cards, and they help you out during conflict, during fights, and during other types of skill tests that they might have to face as we make our way through the game. Okay, so we're searching for those 2 items. We're searching for the tattered map and the warning note. Let's just get on with it and see how we do. Fingers crossed I've actually got this. So here we are in the cave mouth. We're in our first room of the cave. In the cave mouth we haven't got much at all really. We have got a fire, which is nice. That helps make resting a more beneficial experience, but there's nothing else here. We've got 2 exits. One of the exits is dark, and the other of the exits has a bit of light. Ambient, that's the word, has some ambient light, and this is one of the main mechanisms of the game. The level of light in the areas that you're going into affect your readiness, how ready you are for what lies ahead. So what I've got to do is, I'm not going to stay in the same location. This is the scouting phase, by the way. I'm not going to stay in the same location. I've already decided the marching order. I probably won't change that unless I don't know, I might change it at some point, but I haven't changed it yet. I need to decide on an exit, and I need to decide whether to sneak or not. So I think I'm just going to go for this exit over here. Let's move that up there. And I'm not going to sneak. If you sneak, you have to spend additional time, which I don't really want to do, because the time deck will gradually deplete and I'll run out of time and lose the game. So I'm not going to sneak on this occasion. I'm just going to go through this door, passage, tunnel. So what I need to do is add a new location. So I've got a little deck of locations up here. You can't see it on the screen, but I have. And what have we got here? We've got a crystal cavern. These little feet here show me that this is the entrance that we are coming in. So we do that. And as you can see, we're going to rapidly run out of room. But that seems to be what happens when I play this game. Let me show you a couple of other things on this card before I put it down. We have got an obstacle, so we can't even go into the room before the obstacle is overcome. Once we are in the room, there's not a great deal. Well, no, there is some stuff. This here means that we will have to have an encounter of some kind, I believe. So we'll see what that is when we get in there. We have to overcome this obstacle first. And over here we've got an area that we can explore, represented by that icon there. We came, if you remember, from an ambient lit exit. So when we come in here, we have to roll above an 8 on our scouting roll. So that's, I think, the first thing we need to do. Let me just get this back here. So yeah, we need to do our scouting roll first. So a lot of rolls in this game involve rolling 3d6. It's pretty simple. I just have to roll and hopefully get a high number. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we are above the 8, so that's good. If we were 4 above, we would become alert, but we didn't become alert, we're just remaining at bold over here. Okay. So we have done our scouting, we are entering the new room, and we immediately come across an obstacle. Let's see what that is. A ceiling crush. It is a trap. Fantastic. So it is a trap. It tells us the type of test we have to complete. We'll talk about that in a second. Carefully set to catch those at the back unaware. The ceiling here is rigged to drop. So that means that our guard is in trouble because this is designed to catch the people at the back of the party. Down here, this is what would happen if we were careless. Luckily, we're not careless. We are bold. So, one hero must test either probe, handle, or brute brawn at -1. Okay, so we've got a couple of bonuses here, but we don't get those. And we've got to decide if we're going to do a probe, a handle, or a a handle or a brawn test. They sound like the sort of things that my guys are not good at. Our student has a brawn of 1 and a handle of 2, so at least she's got a handle of 2. And our Evicted Noble has got a brawn of 1 and a handle of 1, so pretty rubbish. Let me just have a quick check to see whether I've got any bonuses that might help me out here. I think we're just going to go for the student doing a handle challenge, which will give +2. And let's see how we do. Sorry, I should have spent 1 time for moving into this room. That should have happened during the scouting phase earlier, and I forgot. I'm going to forget a lot of stuff. Anyway, okay, ceiling crush. Oh, that looks good. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Because that's 15 plus the 2 for the handle, which gives me 17. So if I'd got less than or equal to 12, the guard, so yes, the person at the back would have taken damage. if I'd have scored above 13, I guess 13 or above, must be, it would have taken some time, but I scored above 16. You successfully enable the safety mechanism. Hurrah! So that's out of the way, so that's good. And we're free to move into the room. In we go. Now that we're in the room, we have a discovery we need to look at. That's what this symbol here means. So what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through these cards until we find an encounter, I believe is what we do. Oh, until we find a discovery. So we'll see the discovery icon on the card. Oh, straight away. There you go. It's not really what we wanted, to be honest. Never mind. So we have discovered a Blethernumpty. We're having an encounter with a Blethernumpty, or the Blethernumpty? I don't know. The smell of the rag-clad figure greets you first. "Ooh, people to talk with," he exclaims, and starts rambling incoherently. So one of us has got to charm him. And this is another table test, so we just got to have one of our characters roll on this to see how they do. Let's see, have we got anyone with bluff or intrigue? Well, our Evicted Noble, for a start, has 3 charm. So that's immediately a +3 if she does the challenge. And actually, she has got the manipulative characteristic. Gain +1 to your charm for your current test, or +2 if it is an intrigue charm test. +2, but the intrigue charm is at a -1, so we would only get +1 for doing that. So is it really worth it? Do you know what? I'm going to use it. So that's giving me +1. So she is going to be rolling at a +4. 3 for having charm, 1 for being manipulative. Let's see how we do. Oh, that's not good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. His ramblings make no sense, but obviously standing around listening to him does use up some time. So we're going to have to discard 2 time cards, which is sucky news, but there you go. What can you do? Alright, so we've had the encounter. So in this room we've got an area to explore over here. We've just got a little counter to put on there to show that it hasn't been explored yet. And there's not much else to do here, so I think we will have a quick explore and see what there is to see. So let's have a look at this search zone. Now I can do a careful search if I want, but that's going to use more time. But the benefit of doing a careful search is if I come across a booby trap, that booby trap doesn't affect me. Now I happen to know there's 3 booby traps littered around this dungeon. Obviously we haven't come across any of them yet, but let's just hope we don't. So I need to draw 3 cards. If any of these cards are loot cards, we get to keep them. Oh, that's some loot. That's a goblin guard, but we ignore that. And a booby trap. Right. Trip wires crisscross the floor. If they are set off by an unwary scout, bolts will shoot from behind. Oh, well look, this is all, I think, this means careless. Hang on, let me just check. Yeah, so this little icon here means careless. That means it's only triggered if our party is careless, and our party at the moment is bold, not careless, so we can ignore it. That is great news. So we searched this area, we found some discarded food, so that could come in handy. We can pop that over here. Items discovered are held by the party in its entirety, not by an individual, so anyone can use that. So all we need to do now is have a rest. We haven't had any damage yet, we haven't been wounded. We can restore our exhausted talents, so that's nice. And we can choose to camp and heal, but we don't need to do that really. So I think we're going to move on. We're going to skip back to the scouting phase. We've got two exits here. We've got a light and a dark. I think we're just going to stick with the ambient, the mid-light exit. So let's see what's through here. Whoa. A piazza. Didn't expect that down here, did you? A piazza. Okay. There we go. Looking at this room, we have got an obstacle blocking our way before we get in there. We've got a search area, and the search area is hidden behind a barrier, annoyingly. But even before we do that, we've got a foe in here, so we can hear some noises up ahead. There's certainly something or someone we're going to have to scrap with. Okay. Right. First things first, though, we need to do the scout roll. And this time, I know it's upside down, but you get used to that with this game. Because we're coming for an ambient entrance, we need to roll a 10 on 3d6. 8. Rubbish. Okay, so because we've rolled lower than the scouting challenge roll, we need to move our party to careless. So they're sort of stumbling into this room, making a bit of a racket, and generally being a bit rubbish. We've got an obstacle we need to overcome. We have a stalag maze. It's a trap. It's only when the guard brushes against the razor-sharp rocks that you notice you are trapped in a deadly maze. Goody goody. So, one hero, in order to get us out of this, needs to test reason or grace. Alright, I think we're going to go with the student. She has a +3 on her reason. Nothing particularly handy over here, but that's okay because I'm probably going to need some of these abilities during the fight with whatever foe lies beyond the stalag maze. Right, so she needs to ideally roll more than 12, or yeah, including her +3 advantage. Looking good. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Brilliant. So we've got the highest possible score. So she has found that there is a clear passage through. So we've made it past that obstacle. Fantastic. So we're going to go into the room. Let's just pop a search token there. And unfortunately we've got a foe. So we're going to turn over these cards until we encounter a foe. Straight away. Brilliant. We have got some Egyptoi slavers. They're a ranged foe and they're human. A surprise score of 9. We'll use that to see who gets to go first, I guess. Down here, because we are running with 2 heroes, that means that we are going to have 3 enemies to fight. I believe the 1 is the point at which they try and leg it. So if they go down to 1, they run away, and I frequently forget that, so I'll try and remember on this occasion. Each one has a health of 2. Over here, I think that means they do 1 point of damage. These here dictate whether they have any advantage fighting against a ranged or melee heroes, and they don't, so that's good. And this here is their these are the scores that are used to dictate how well they do when they attack, but we'll get to those in a minute, I think. So I'm using this card. I'm trying to remember what they call it. The combat card. Let's call it a combat card. It wasn't included in the original game, but after the release of the game, many people complained that it was hard to keep track of combat, and they weren't wrong. So the designer of the game put together this additional resource to make it a bit easier to track combat. And I believe the next game in the series is going to be kickstarting later on this year, and a proper board and associated tokens will be included in that Kickstarter. So we're going to use that. So let's have a look. We need to have 3 opponents. They all look the same. They might look like goblins, but they represent our 3 enemies. I'm going to tuck. This is what I've been doing. I'm not sure whether this is the way the designer intended it, but this is what I'm doing. What I do is I tuck a little health token under each one, and so that's 2 tokens representing 2 health. So when they're both gone, I know that dude is dead. So there we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3 guys. They are ranged foes. The way combat goes is you have an engagement round, and then you have any number of standard combat rounds. During the engagement round, we ignore certain rules, but what we do have to do is roll for surprise. So in order to roll for surprise, we roll 3d6 and we compare the result against this number here, which I now realise is called the alertness number. That's pretty good. 10, 11, 15. So we are well above. If the result is 4 or higher than their alertness score, and it is, we can either retreat to the previous location, which I don't really want to do, I want to push on, or we gain surprise. Because we successfully surprised the slavers, we each get a +2 advantage during the first round, and we need to decide how we're going to fight. Well, we're both going to fight with our standard weapon. Neither of those are ranged weapons, unfortunately. I think one of these guys has got a ranged option, but I don't really feel like using it. Or maybe I should. So essentially, ranged heroes go before melee heroes, so our slavers are going to attack first, unfortunately. And they're just going to randomly attack our heroes. So this one here is going to attack the noble. 10, 11, 12, 13. That's very unfortunate. 13 is a strike, so she is going to have damage inflicted against her, so that sucks. This is the way we track damage. We flip over their trait cards. Once all three are flipped over, they can then take 1 additional point of damage, and then they are out for the count. So that's pretty irritating. Now this one is going to attack our student for 5, 6, 7. 7's a bit more like it. That means that's just a miss. So okay, that's good. And then our final one is also going to attack the student. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is also a miss. Good news for everyone involved. So now our heroes can move in and attack them. So let's start with the Evicted Noble. She's going to attack this one on the end here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus the 2 for the advantage, 12, 13. So if we look at, not this, sorry, this is her standard weapon here, a knife, but we're looking at her weapon here, and 13 does give us a, oh, wait a minute, it does give us a strike, so we are inflicting damage on that enemy, so that's great. So I think our student is going to hit the same enemy, and let's see if we can get them down to 2 only, which will be very handy. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, not good. Oh, we're looking over here, sorry. 11, that means trade blows, which means both the hero and the creature inflict damage on each other. Irritating. So our student is going to suffer some damage. I should probably look at these and work out which one is the worst to lose, but I'm just a bit lazy. Yeah, okay. So I think I'll actually let's flip that one. Right. Oh yes, but they inflicted damage on each other, so she also damaged him, so he's out of the picture, or she's out of the picture, and we're left with only 2 enemies to fight in the next round. So that's fantastic. The next round is a standard combat round. And one of the differences here, or probably the main difference, is each melee hero is given or has to pin a creature, which brings them into melee if they are not melee creatures. So basically they each run up, they're not getting the advantage anymore, they each run up and force one of these baddies into a melee combat with them, which is good because it means they can't do their ranged attacks anymore. And melee combat, I sort of rushed through that a little bit then, but it's different. Ranged combat and melee combat are treated differently. So ranged combat, the enemy rolls a dice, or we roll a dice for the enemy, and then the heroes roll a dice, and they're separate attack rolls. With a melee, we just roll the hero's melee attack, and that roll will dictate everything in that particular melee combat instance. So we might damage them, they might damage us. It's all decided in one melee attack, and we're going to do that now. We're going to start with the Evicted Noble. They're going to attack, they can attack anyone. They don't have to attack the one they're pinning, but she's going to attack that one anyway. 10, 11, 12 sounds good, is not amazing. 12 gives us an advance, and that means that the next attacker will have advantage. If it was ranged combat, and an enemy might be given disadvantage, but the next attacker is given advantage. So we haven't done any damage to that enemy, but at least we've managed to sort of push them back and create an opening for the student to get in and attack them. And that's what's going to happen now. So they've got +2, so that's pretty sweet. She's going to attack the same enemy. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 does give us a strike. So we've done a point of damage to that enemy. Whoop, whoop. Onwards. She loses advantage. We're going to start again. We're going to keep starting with the Evicted Noble. The Evicted Noble is going to attack the same enemy. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's doing the same thing. It is an advance, which gives an advantage to our other hero. Our other hero is going to once again attack the same enemy. Oh, that's good. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, which is a critical hit. So that inflicts damage on the hero, taking them out of the picture, and also gives advantage to the next hero to attack. Okay, at this point, because we have defeated enough creatures that we are equal to or less than the break point, the one remaining slaver has decided to bolt and leg it into the darkness, which essentially means we have defeated this enemy. This enemy is non-unique. Some of the enemies are unique. If the enemies are unique, when they run away, they go back into the deck and live to fight another day. So if it's a unique enemy, you have the option of sort of chasing them and trying to finish them off. But because it's just a simple slaver, who cares really? We're just going to let them run off into the darkness. And we defeated them. So there you go. We managed to do a combat round. And I'm pretty pleased about that. All right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick explore of this search zone, which unfortunately is blocked by a barrier. And then we might call it a day on this video and come back for another one. Come back and continue in a second video. But let's have a look. We've got a barrier. So we reveal what the barrier is. It's a bat colony. I seem to remember that this cave has tired bats. That's only if it's bat swarm or enraged bats. This is neither of those things. It's a bat colony. Okay, all right, fine. Just remembered once again, when I came into this room, I forgot to discard time. So I'll just do that now. Right, so let's have a look at this bat colony. A colony of bats fills this part of the cave. They swarm around your head as you step into the tunnel. So this is a basic test. So we've got 3 different options here. One hero may test brawn, grace, or reason versus different levels of challenge, and there's different outcomes depending upon which one we do. All of the failures result in us, is that poison? I think that's poison. No, fear. Each of the failure in any of these tests would result in us becoming fearful, which is annoying. I can't remember quite how, but it can't be good, can it? So Grace, I seem to remember one of us is pretty good at Grace, and we've got a reason option as well. Nope, I was wrong. Both rubbish at Grace. But we've got the reason here. She's good at reasoning. So she could identify the bats. And actually I could even use that to get +1. So she would get a total of +4. And we need to roll a total of 15. 14, that's a fail. That is a fail. That sucks. So she gets fear. Let's find a token for that. She is now fearful. I'll work out what that means in a minute. I'm just trying to work out whether I can have another crack at it immediately. And I think I can. So, but that seems a bit ridiculous because she's already got fear. No, I don't see any reason why I can't just have another crack at it. My student's going to have one more go at this. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so she has successfully identified the species. She's worked out how we can avoid that species from attacking us. That does move us to alert, so that's kind of handy, although I don't think it's going to help us now. So that's the negative thing that happens. That's the positive thing that happens when you succeed. I mean, I hope that that was right, that I could retry that test, but I have now anyway. So, when you complete, when you overcome a barrier in this sort of situation, you then have to draw an adventure card. There's a little symbol there to remind you that much, and see what that is. It's a booby trap. Oh, luckily it's only triggered if you're careless. I'm starting to think that booby traps only trigger if people are careless, and we're not careless, so that doesn't trigger, so that's pretty sweet. And now we are able to search this search zone behind the barrier. So we look at 3 cards. Oh, we've got a loot item, a baby warrior. That's nice. The enemy cards I think we can discard. Oh, we can discard that as well. Well, that's 3. That's good. So that's 2 monsters we don't have to face. And we got a baby warrior. Choose one hero to gain the baby warrior as an equipment card. The chosen hero gains +1 to persuade, charm tests, and coerce will tests. But if they are knocked unconscious, the warrior runs away. Okay, all right. So let's give the warrior to the student. She seems like she needs a little pet to take care of. And I think we need to rest. We've searched that. We haven't got any fires in this room, so that means we can't easily heal without losing time. So I think I'm just going to rest and recover that, untap that trait. So there you go, I'm 3 rooms in. We have not yet found any evidence of the missing adventurers, but maybe we will in the next session. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like this video if you wouldn't mind, if you've got this far. And feel free to subscribe if you want to see more in this series.